Hi everyone, so I'm going to show you how I make a pillar candle. So first of all, what you need, like I showed you, is a mould and a long piece of wick, and you thread the wick through the base of the mould. The base of the mould is actually the top of the candle. So you thread your wick through the hole at the base, and I find this the biggest pain in the butt because quite often my mould will leak, so you'll see in a bit what I have to do to stop it leaking. Make sure you've got enough excess at the top so you'll be able to fasten it at the top to make sure it stays centered. Cut off the excess from the bottom of the mould. You just want a little bit sticking out the top. You'll trim this later anyway. And then what you need to do so the mould doesn't whittle wax everywhere, get the biggest blob of blue tack you've got and just jam it at the end to stop it leaking. I think it's the stupidest design ever. There is I think there's a thing on the mould I can sort of break off and use as a plug, but I can't get it off, so I have to just use blue tack. What you can also do is pour just a teeny weeny little bit of wax in, just enough to plug the end, and then pour the rest of the wax in once that's sort of set a bit, but you sometimes get a bit of a line near the top of the candle, which is annoying. Then get a lolly stick and put that across the top, and make sure it's positioned in such a way that when you fold the wick over the top, there's a nice bit of tension, and also it stays in the centre of the mould. Because if the wick goes too near either of the sides, your candle's going to burn funny and collapse. You need to have the wick right through the middle, nice and straight, which is what I'm fiddling with here. I've got the lollipop stick on top of the mould, and I'm just putting some sellotape on just to hold it in place. And it was being awkward because my sellotape's weird. You can get the proper little metal things that clip on the top, but I'm not spending the money they were the price at the candle making shop, so I do it with the lolly sticks. I use lolly sticks or I use clothes pegs. For this one, because it's a bigger mould, I use lolly sticks. So can you see that the wick goes right through the centre? It's nice and straight, there's no bends in it, and it's fastened securely at the top. That's what you want. Then take your little pan. My pan is ridiculously tiny, but it's the only one I could get at the time. And my big bag of soy wax. I've switched to using soy wax now because it's environmentally friendly, which is obviously the main concern, and also health wise it burns a lot cleaner and you don't get that horrible stinky paraffin smell when you burn the soy wax, so it is a lot better. But I like the fact as well that it's environmentally friendly. I'm trying to switch everything I use to be as environmentally friendly as possible. So I'm trying to use environmentally friendly ingredients as much as possible. I'm trying to source, when I go shopping and get groceries, I'm trying to get them without plastic or anything. As you can see, I've put the soy wax in that little pan, and then I'm going to use a double boiler. So what you do is you get a saucepan with hot water in, put the little pan resting in the surface of the hot water so that the water obviously doesn't get into the wax, and use that to melt the wax. And then that little packet I showed you is some dye flakes. So I've put a few little dye flakes at the top to make the candle black, because I wanted to make another black pillar candle. I made one, but I wanted two just for the sake of symmetry. And then once it's melted, it looks like this. And what you do is you leave it to cool for a little bit, not to the point where it's actually starting to set in the pan, but just starting to cool enough where you can put the fragrance in, and you can you can pour it in the mould without it damaging your mould. There are exact temperatures and everything, but because I'm just starting out, I haven't got a thermometer thing yet, so I can't tell you the exact temperature, but basically leave it for about 5 minutes max, just to cool down, because it's only a little pan. Obviously if it's a bigger pan you're going to need a thermometer, because you need it to cool down a lot, to a certain temperature before pouring, ideally. And then once I've left it to cool for 5 minutes, I make sure I stand my mould on paper towel because my mould is a pain in the bum and likes to leak. And I've learnt that from experience. The first time I ever used the mould, I forgot to plug the end and the wax went everywhere. And trust me, it took ages to go off. So I protect my work surface like crazy now. Because then if all else fails, I've just ruined a bunch of paper towels instead. At this point, this is where I realised that my silly mould was leaking because I hadn't quite got the blue tack firmly in place. So I had to empty it back out, reposition the blue tack, and then try again. And it worked the second time. And as you can see, you fill it up to the top. Obviously, I've left the wax to cool for a fair bit before picking it up to show you. Don't move it when you first put the wax in because it'll be red hot. And then leave it somewhere where it can cool down. This is on my windowsill. So yeah, I'm going to leave that overnight and then I will pop it out the thing in the morning. So now it's the next morning, and what I've got to do first of all, now the candle's completely cooled, is first of all remove the tape that's holding the lollipop stick on the top. And you need that extra length of wick, it'll help you in a minute. First things first is to roll the mould along like the surface, like I've got a towel on my work surface, I'm rolling it. This helps just make sure all the candles detach from the side of the mould. And you give the mould a bit of a squeeze, and it's got a little bit of flex to it. And that just helps, and you can feel it releasing from the mould. And then pull on the extra wick that you've got, and you have your pillar candle. The ends on this one aren't beautiful, but you can just trim the ends off. It's fairly flat, the base, it's just the very edges are a bit flaky. So what I did is I stood it on my table, just pressed down, and that just removed any little extra flakes of wax that were sticking at the bottom, and that's it. That's how to make a pillar candle at home. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.